It's Jeff here. Hope everybody is great. And if you were on my last broadcast or episode or whatever you call it, and then you know these are just little things, little videos of topics and subject matter that interest me for whatever reason, and it may not interest anyone else, but it does me, and I like to talk. So here we go. Before I get started, I would like to say, last weekend I spent some time with some friends, and I'm a very blessed person. My family is, I got a great family, and I got great friends, lots of friends. There's these two guys that I grew up with, really. Went to from all the way back in junior high, and we still see each other twice a year. We get together for a weekend away, and this past weekend we're in the mountains. It was just great. You know, it's awesome having men your own age that you've known your whole life, that are going through the same phase of life that you are. You can share with them, you can trust them, you can laugh with them. If you don't have that in your life, I pray you do. If you don't, I hope you can acquire some just friends you can really get close to and trust. It was just a great time. Just extremely valuable. But anyway, to my two buds out there who went to the mountains with me, you know who you are. I love you. It was a great time. All right, getting more into the subject matter today. I mentioned last time that maybe one of the things we would talk about are old adages or old sayings. And so I picked one this week, and I've only heard my dad say it my whole life. I've never heard anyone else ever utter this. And before I get into it, let me just say that, let me thank the website worddetective.com. I actually found the phrase on their site and was able to do some research. But the phrase is, how the cow ate the cabbage. You heard it right. How the cow ate the cabbage. Now you're going to see me glance off at some notes here periodically, in case you're wondering why my eyes keep darting off. But so that's it. And what does it mean? Well, it means the unvarnished truth, even if you don't want to hear it. You might hear it used in a phrase that goes something like, I went down there and I told them how the cow ate the cabbage. So you're just telling somebody the way it is. You know, you're telling them what the truth is. And from what I understand, from what I read on the website, it's derived from an old joke. And I'll try not to massacre the joke here. But it goes something like this. So there was this old country town, and there was a traveling circus that was visiting the town. And late one night, the elephant that is part of the circus escaped and found its way into the yard of this old woman. Now, the woman was severely nearsighted, and she woke up in the middle of the night to a commotion in her yard, and she goes and she looks out her window and she calls the sheriff. And she says, Sheriff, there is a cow in my garden pulling up my cabbages with its tail. The sheriff is really shocked to hear this and says, well, what is the cow doing with the cabbage? And she says, if I told you, you wouldn't believe me. I'll pause there while that sinks in. So, thus was born the phrase, how the cow ate the cabbage. The unvarnished truth, even if you don't want to hear it. As I thought about that phrase, it got me thinking about truth in general. It seems these days we water down truth. You know, we use the word flippantly and rather loosely, in my opinion. there tends to be this acceptable notion that everybody can have their own truth about whatever the topic might be. I once heard Oprah say to an audience, she said, "You believe your truth." And I don't know how that's possible. To me, that's just an invitation to be ignorant. It's directing people to not seek facts and to live in their own little cocoon that they make up and ignore the reality of a situation. As I think about the characteristics of truth, and I go through my own little list of what I think these are, number one would be that there's only one truth. There's only one. There may be multiple opinions, beliefs, and perspectives, but in the end, there's only one truth. So that's one characteristic. Characteristic number two. Truth and belief are often not the same or even remotely aligned. I don't think that's really up for debate. I mean, look at at all the things we as a world in our history have believed that weren't true, and look at all the horrific consequences that have resulted. So, characteristic number one, there's only one truth. Characteristic number two, truth and belief are often not the same. Number three, this is not necessarily a characteristic, maybe more just something I just happen to believe, just a matter of fact, I guess, is that none of us knows the truth about everything. Generally, the older we are, the more our lives are aligned with truth. You know, older people are generally, I think, considered wise or wiser. And I really think that that's just because they've lived a lot of years. We have lived a lot of years. And, you've been sliced and diced by truth. And so you've learned to realign your life with that. Truth is painful. It can be a double-edged sword, and it tends to teach you hard lessons. Which leads me to my final characteristic, and that is that truth is unyielding. As assuredly as water flows downhill, truth doesn't bend to human whims and wants. No matter how much we strive to cling to our truth, the truth will always have its day. And there's no timetable on that. I think it depends on how long we choose to delude ourselves into believing what's not true and how long that lasts. Ultimately, truth is going to win out. No matter how much energy we put into building facades that cater to our truths, the truth will always, in the end, collect what it is owed. So if you want to know what is true, seek it. Often you'll find it. But if you just go along floating on a breeze, like Forrest Gump once said, just taking in whatever happens to pass by you that particular day, it's going to be more and more difficult to find it. You have to deliberately seek it out. It takes work, it takes effort. It means exposing yourself maybe to things that you wouldn't normally read or listen to or whatever, to get different perspectives on something. And then just take your God-given ability to discern what makes sense. What's lasting. You know, there's some scripture in First Thessalonians where Paul says that we should test what we see and hear, and that's really what I'm getting at there. If you want to know the truth, you need to seek it. You need to test it, and there are many ways to do that. So that's my hope, is that we will search for truth. We'll let the stinging nature of truth do its work to send us in the right and proper direction. It may be painful at first, but it's worth it. So that, my friends, is how the cow ate the cabbage. And until next time, this is Jeff. We'll talk soon. Thank you.